the origin story for TRE comes out of the work of Dr. David Berselli, who's my co-teacher. He and I alternate sections for this program we're doing for Healing Life. And Dr. Berselli spent several decades living overseas in the work as a field traumatologist. And what that means is that he would be in natural disaster types of areas as well as war and conflict areas. And his role was to help people with stress and trauma recovery from those kinds of very disruptive things, such as war and natural disaster. So, in any case, uh, David, he has a diverse background. He was a body worker. He did something called bioenergetics therapy, and he specialized in trauma recovery. And he made some very interesting observations and insights as he worked with the populations. And I'm just going to give you the very fast version of the story today. But his insight was that it was so common after disruptive, scary, stressful conditions for the children in the groups would tremble with fear, the way that we, all of us have seen, maybe even experienced ourselves. But that wasn't as common in the adults. And he would even feel that process, shaking with fear or anxiety coming up for himself. But he noticed that his habit was to inhibit or to stop that from happening. He got very curious about it and he looked to see what trauma researchers were doing. He looked to see what biologists studying the stress mechanisms in the animal kingdom were looking at. And so this is sort of in the 80s and 90s. A lot of research was coalescing around the idea that the trembling that we sometimes get if we're afraid or if we're nervous before giving a public speech, or if we're coming out of a surgical operation and our body is trembling the way that it sometimes does, or after giving childbirth is a common example where this kind of organic tremoring happens. Um, that it's not just sort of an artifact or a side effect, or it doesn't simply mean that a person is afraid or something like that, but that biologically actually that there's a purpose and a meaning for it. And so we now know of the tremor response. We call it the neurogenic tremor reflex. And the idea in TRE is that the purpose of that kind of tremoring is to release tension in the body, to change our stress chemistry into relaxation chemistry, and to downregulate return the nervous system back to the ideal home base of the parasympathetic nervous system. Um, and so that's what the practice is involved in. And what Dr. Berselli's um, wonderful contribution was developing a format of stimulating that tremor reflex, but in the context of safety. I mean, obviously, we wouldn't want to do this if it feels scary the way that a stressful situation is. So that's not what it is at all. It's in an environment of relaxation and safety, but using a physical way through some simple movements that that wake up that neurogenic tremor reflex, and we work with it as a way to, again, downregulate the autonomic nervous system. Our goal when it's our first time is we want to learn how to find the quivering. I'll use the word tremoring, sometimes I'll use the word quivering, shaking, vibration. It's all means the same thing, which is that there's going to be a kind of a vibration in your body. We want to be able to turn that process on, but we also want to have the confidence that we can take breaks. And when we take breaks, that's when some of the integration is happening, and we can work in cycles where we do a little bit more, and then we pause. We do a little bit more. We can pause. That the word we use is titration. The idea of working with small cycles to introduce this to the nervous system. Now, in the animal kingdom, gazelles and zebras and animals all over the world, they never forgot how to do this. They do it instinctively, organically. If you even observe your own pets, that they just the way a cat will just stretch and yawn, and dogs will shake. So humans are probably the only mammals that in a way need to re-remember how to allow this kind of organic tremor response to happen, because we kind of get in our own way through some of the attributes of being a human with a human brain. We can disconnect a little bit from some of our natural processes.